Now, I've been building PCs on the channel for, well, absolutely ages. I seem to do it kind of day in, day out. But when it comes to my own personal rig, I mean, this was it. And it's an amazing chassis, but it's kind of a little bit tired. It's really, really dusty. And I've actually been using my Asus Zephyrus for, well, as long as I can remember now. I guess I was waiting for something just a little bit special to kind of take over from, you know, this amazing chassis from InWin. And, well, I thought I just wasn't going to find it until this came along. Now, this was, I guess, my pride and joy. It all was situated inside the InWin S-Frame, which is a limited edition one. It's even got a limited edition kind of eTeknix badge on there. Now, you can see that everything is, well, extremely dusty, and there's a very, very good reason. I haven't actually had the heart to take this whole system apart as of yet. So it's kind of been sitting there a bit like a shrine to sort of say this was, I guess, you know, one of the extreme systems that I sort of built, I guess, in the finer sense of the word, many, many years ago. So InWin S-Frame in the kind of custom bluey color, which kind of went with the eTeknix theme. I had the MSI X99A Godlike Gaming, which at the time was just a beast. I can't even remember what processor is in here, but I do know that it was kind of top of the range at the time. So maybe 5960X maybe was in there. In terms of memory, I had Crucial Ballistics. There was, I believe it was 64 gig of, I want to say 2133, maybe a little bit faster than that. Of course, EVGA with a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, which was complete boss at the time. And SSD-wise, this was kind of before NVMe SSDs were really a thing. So I was using the Zotac Sonics, which essentially is an NVMe drive, but on a PCI Express interface. Other than that, I had the Be Quiet Silent Loop 240, cooling everything down. But it did start making a bit of a whiny noise, hence why I really stopped kind of using this in general. Other than that, there really wasn't much else to the system. There is a power supply kind of situated at the back up here, but yeah, nothing to really sort of shout home about, at least in today's world. So this is now going to be retired, and we are going to move over to the 928 SuperTower. But I want to sort of talk through the 928 SuperTower and sort of go through the reasons why I chose that, and maybe even talk about some of the other kind of parts of the system that I'm going to be using. So here we have the 928 SuperTower. Now, one thing I do want to mention is right now it's hot as hell in the UK. For some reason, we're deciding to have a 33-degree summer in sort of the end of August. That's 33 degrees Celsius, so whatever that is, nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's a little bit hot in here, but I'm gonna move on and sort of go through this anyway. So the beauty of the 928 is kind of some of the functionality that it has above and beyond sort of, you know, other chassis that are out on the market. It was actually made for the Dominus Extreme motherboard from Asus, which was kind of, you know, a completely different form factor above anything that a consumer needs when you're looking at sort of, you know, EEB form factor. So everything has kind of been, I guess, over-engineered beyond what it really needs to be. And what I'm going to do is actually take it apart sort of bit by bit, so you can kind of see where, I guess, the over-engineering has come from and why it actually does serve a purpose. I mean, looking at the thumb screws for starters, they are absolutely massive. I mean, I've actually got the thumb screws from the S-Frame, which are here. And I mean, the S-Frame was kind of over-engineered for what it was, but you can see the difference. But for some reason, these actually feel a lot lighter. So silly little things like that. I'm not complaining. I love sort of, you know, over-engineered technology and things like that, just purely because it kind of gives you something above and beyond what you're expecting. So even the tempered glass side panel, it actually feels lighter than the one that came in the S-Frame. And it's got a really cool look to it because, as you can see in the corners, it does kind of bend up a little bit, but the glass itself isn't bent. It's just kind of a little bit of an illusion, I guess. So on each corner, you have kind of got these right angle things. Well, they're not even right angled. They're kind of, I don't know, maybe 30, 45 degrees, but they kind of just, you know, add to the shape of the chassis. But yeah, pretty light, but still feeling pretty solid. I'm going to put that to one side so we can talk through sort of some of the other, I guess, internals. So you have got kind of these great big standoffs which the panels will come onto, and even these can be kind of fully removed. So lots of, I guess, components of the chassis are actually quite modular in sort of, you know, the finer sense of the word. So even looking at, say, this top bit, there's two little screws, one at the front and one at the back, and what it actually does is takes out this dust filter. So we have got kind of this dust filter. These are captive screws, which are quite cool. I do really like that. And you've got kind of this fine mesh, but it's not too fine, if that makes sense. And then you have this kind of area here, which is for sort of radiator placement. So yeah, let's take off the other side and sort of see, you know, what that's all about. You got to bear in mind, guys, I saw this case for the first time at CES, and then I saw it for the second time at Computex, and it was kind of fully built up, so we didn't really have a chance to kind of, you know, go through sort of every part of it. So I'm going to take this side off as well and see if that kind of gives us any access. Because the one thing I do know about this chassis is kind of in the beauty of it, everything can come apart to a certain degree. So on the other side, we have got exactly the same with the tempered glass and the kind of, you know, 4 angled panels. So the rear, for instance, let me take that off and see if that gives us kind of any more access. Again, we have these kind of captive thumb screws, and once we do that, the whole rear can actually come off, which, looking at it, it is connected for the fans. Now, this is one thing I love. So these are the crown fans. These are the 14 centimeter or 140 millimeter fans, RGB, of course. But because this is kind of, I guess, classed as an open frame chassis, the reason they've gone with the crown fans instead of sort of any other fans is the fact that they are kind of daisy chained. So you can see that that one cable that I just disconnected just here goes into the single fan here, but then it daisy chains to the next and daisy chains to the next. And then obviously you could, I guess, daisy chain this one up to kind of this one, or the one on the other side. So you do have kind of options there, but it does make things a lot cleaner, because I guess that was my biggest gripe with the InWin S-Frame when I was using that. Now, one thing I do want to mention is everything is kind of painted matte, which is really nice, but really horrible because it scratches really easily. So I'm actually going to bring it up to the camera. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully you get kind of a good idea, but then you can just rub it off, which I really like. I could paint it, I guess, but I don't really want to go down that route. So I'm going to sort of stick with, I guess, kind of how it is now. Other than that, so we have got kind of the space here, and it looks like I'm actually going to need my screwdriver, because what we've actually got here is kind of 3 extra fans here, and then we've got exactly the same on the other side, so all 14 centimeters. So in total, the whole chassis actually has 12 140 millimeter fans on it, and like I say, they are all daisy chainable. So at the top we've kind of got our 6, and we have got support for radiators up there as well, so you're looking as well as support, I guess, at the front. But looking at it, if we did sort of do something radiator wise at the front, we're not going to be able to do anything with this fan. I think we'd actually have to remove this fan. So I'm probably going to end up doing dual radiators at the top, but I am only going to be cooling a single CPU and a single GPU in here. I'm not going to go sort of overboard, just because I'm probably going to end up going with a 2080 Ti. But the problem is now is we've all seen it. We've all seen kind of results and benchmarks as to SLI and Crossfire is are kind of dead in the kind of grand scheme of things. So maybe I need to look at just a single powerful GPU. I could always go Titan RTX, but I think I'd rather go 2080 Ti, just purely because I've got the block and I've got the card already. So let me take apart some more of this and see what else we can find. So apparently it does help if you read the manual, because inside you actually get quite a few different accessories, and one of them is a handy little spanner. But what we actually need to do is get this onto here somehow, and then what it will actually do, so yeah, it's a little bit tight and a little bit, I guess, clunky, because now that it's on, I can just do it by hand. So whether, I don't know, you know what I was saying about kind of the over-engineering aspect? Did that really need to be done with a tool like this? I'm just going to try it. There you go. So that one actually came off in my hand first time. So we can take this off, and then in theory this should, but trying to get it off kind of evenly, because I guess now I've taken it off too much on that side. I need to kind of go back to this side and try and take that off. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute. So again, checking out the instruction manual. It's not actually an instruction manual. It's, you can probably see there's a little QR code on here. So they have saved paper, and then when you go on there, it's actually an instructional video. Admittedly, I probably should have watched that first, but it's a matter of taking off the bottom one of these so you can slide the kind of whole front out. But again, you are restricted by the cable. So I need to kind of find where the cable is and take that out, which is, I'm guessing, on the top one. You kind of have to, I guess, move it as much as you can before you can kind of get to the cable things are getting kind of all scratched up because of that kind of material that we're using here, or that InWin are using, and then try and take the front one out so you can then easily, or more easily I'm hoping, slide the top one out. So I'm going to admit, first impressions, it looks absolutely amazing. Second impressions is, it's just all a bit too much, a bit too complicated. I'm going to be forever kind of rubbing these scratches off, which is a good thing, because if I scratched it and you couldn't rub them off, it's going to create, you know, more of a problem. But I don't know. I just feel that maybe it could have been a little bit better. So now that that side's done, it's exactly the same for sort of the other side. So you take off the bit and then you can kind of slide out the top bit, but you're not going to be restricted by the front, which is still very much connected, as you can see. And even trying to kind of get that cable out, it's actually kind of stuck between the frame and the fan itself. So I'm guessing for the most part, you'd have to unscrew this fan out just to take this whole block of, I guess, fans out, which it just seems a little bit unnecessary. And again, I'm scratching it all over the place. So am I regretting using this case for my build? I'm not, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not regretting using it, but it just seems like it could have been a little bit better. And maybe I need to go and watch the video on kind of, you know, what there is to do with it, because there's still a lot more that I haven't even spoken about, and I don't want this video to go on forever, because I knew it was going to be kind of a multi-parter, because this is going to be custom looped. And I do want to get feedback from you guys as well as to what components you think I should be using. But I didn't expect just this part of kind of the dismantling would take anywhere near this long. There is things that I do like. Obviously on here, we have got support for radiators. And as you can see, there is kind of the room just here and here to actually have the pass-through. So when a radiator is actually situated in here, you can kind of have your tubes coming out over this side or this side, depending on sort of the orientation that you're doing with your chassis. So, so there is that. And in terms of radiator support, as I was mentioning earlier, yes, there is a support sort of in the top. So we have got room for two 420s in here, but I guess there is room if you wanted to use a slim rad at the front. But I honestly can't see it working all the time that you have kind of the front fan there, because once this is in place, there's just not enough room to kind of situate it between the front kind of block of fans, a radiator, and then you got to think, where are the tubes going to come out from there? Not really going to happen. So I think I'm going to go with kind of the two 420s at the top, 420, just blaze it. I am going to go with that. And that's probably gonna be it. Obviously, motherboard wise, this has got support for EEB form factor, but I'm gonna be using an ATX or maybe even eATX. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna go with a Zeus or Gigabyte yet. Again, let me know in the comments section. I'm probably gonna go with a 9980XE because this is gonna be used for rendering and basically all sorts of different tasks. And that is, at the moment, because I have one, the best kind of all-round CPU. Obviously, if I was sort of doing this on a price point basis, I'd probably be looking at Ryzen and X570, maybe even X470, probably be more inclined to go X570 because of PCIe Gen 4. And that's maybe something else that I need to consider. Do I actually go with Ryzen and go X570 for PCIe Gen 4 over the pure unadulterated kind of speed, cores and everything of a 9980XE? So many decisions, and I really want you guys kind of your feedback. So comment section, Twitter, Facebook, everyone knows where I am. Please tell me what you think I should do with this, because I don't know, I'm a little bit stumped as to what platform I go. And that's gonna be kind of the start and the basis of this build, is what platform I go with, and then can kind of go on from there. I know I'm gonna be going with 2080 Ti, and I'm probably gonna have it vertically instead of horizontal, just because it's gonna look a lot nicer. Probably gonna go with EK, just because I love EK quality and what they've actually got, and I've got a lot of the stuff kind of already here. Fans obviously are completely covered with the crown fans. Other than that, I guess storage is the next thing. I'm probably, because in the back, and I will show you this in kind of maybe even B-roll or the next video, there is kind of a bank of two power supplies, but I don't need two power supplies because I'm not going to be running a second system in here. I'm not going to be running that much power that I'm going to need sort of, you know, above whatever power supply wattage I'm going to go for. So I'm probably going to take that out and use that for maybe cable management, maybe even do something there for kind of, you know, running the loop sort of round a lot of this. I don't really want to mod this case because I never did anything with the S-Frame. It kind of served its purpose pretty well, and there were a few niggly little things that I had to kind of bypass to get the results that I wanted, but I managed to do that. And this is going to be a lot different because obviously it's going to be hardline tubing. Not even sure what kind of tubing I'm going to go for, whether I'm going to go for coloured fluid. Obviously, I'm probably not going to go for colour fluid purely because we have the fans all doing their RGB work. I don't want to take away from that. So maybe we go with kind of black tubing or black fluid, or we go with kind of chrome brass or something like that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the InWin 928 SuperTower. There is also a smaller version, but that's not going to house everything I want, at least in terms of the water cooling side of things, because I'm hoping to have quite a large reservoir in here as well, just purely because of the size of the system that's going to be cooling, the amount of radiators and so forth. There you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's been a bit of a weird one. I wanted to kind of show you around this, but this thing weighs a ton, so I can't even really sort of, you know, move it freely like I normally would. But yeah, till next time. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. I had this one for, God, must be at least 4, maybe even 5 years. And I can't lift that. No way. Kind of been sitting there as apparently I live near the sea. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants.